From 2003 to 2011, I was a officer in the U.S. Army with the 25th Infantry Division. Got out as a captain in 2011, and I had taught in the National Guard when I returned in 2007 up until 2011. So I want to talk about what it takes to be a young officer, because I was in Afghanistan at the ripe old age of 23, and what it takes to lead men into battle and be responsible for their lives and the success of the overall mission. So that kind of, for me, the most important value as a veteran is dedication. So one example of this was when I had returned from leave, and it was the start of the spring offensive in Afghanistan, and that's a time when fighting resumes after the winter, because you're up at 8,000 feet and there's snow everywhere and it's hard for you to move really anywhere quickly. So once the snow thaws, the fighting resumes. And so at this point I was transferred to the 2nd to the 503rd Infantry out of Vicenza, Italy, and was asked to augment their fight against a resurgent force of Taliban in the area. And they were just in a large battle where they had killed over 70 Taliban in a 24-hour period. And they asked us to come down to help reinforce the fight because of the amount of resources required given the influx of enemy combatants in the area. And for me, this was quite a shock. This was the first fights for the latter half of my deployment. It was really more about building the country, helping them succeed, making sure the election of the president went off without a hitch, without a major terrorism incident. And we had done that, and this was our first real fighting. And so I was definitely nervous. And so I really had to harness in that first 72 hours, the last 5 years of my training, to ensure that the men that we moved down there, I was an executive officer at the time, and so we had 160 men we had to move down, plus equipment, to help augment the fight. And then within the first 24 hours of being down there, we were moved by helicopter into a valley to continue the fight that had just ended. And so within the first 24 hours of this, I had moved 160 men and equipment, and then planned an operation, a large battalion-sized air assault into a valley where we're expecting 150 Taliban in the area. And last time they were in the valley, they were shot at immediately when they got onto the ground. And so here I am, after having seen my fiance, now my wife at the time, of 7 years now, worried about what's going to happen to me and what's going to happen to my guys. So we really had to focus on mastery of our skill and attention to detail. And for me, that is probably one of the most important things that you can do as a veteran, is carry forward that into your life. And just being a person that can lead by example, focus on those details, and give confidence to the people, inspire others so that they can do their job to the level that they needed. And that's what we did in partnership with the officers that I worked with. We moved over 250 men into a valley through multiple air assaults, and we were in that valley for over 72 hours, cleared it out, got into 2 troops in contact, that's where we were engaged by Chechen forces that were over the border, and succeeded without a loss of life on our side. For me, that was my trial by fire as a young man, and doing that successfully. And I will never forget it, because I didn't sleep for 3 days, and it was the first time I heard shells cracking over my head. It was the first time I heard mortar rounds hit by my side, and the first time I had to work through sleep deprivation at a level outside training, where I had to question others' decisions and help make the right decision for the sake of our guys, especially when we had to move overnight, 10 miles in one night over a 3,000-foot elevation change. And we had to focus on making sure that the guys that we had the right amount of support to do that successfully and safely. Because moving 10 miles anywhere, especially when you're using 70-pound packs and having enough supplies, will hurt the fittest of person, and we had to deal with that. And then move into in a deathly position for the morning to carry out another assault on a village where there was a Taliban commander that coordinated the attacks earlier that week. And we did that. But to move that quickly in that amount of time, I'll never forget it. And it's made me who I am today.